Welcome, one and all, to another episode of my audio journal, Missing Pieces, Greg's Roll Podcast, whatever this is called. It's where I sit down and I talk about my life, my week, things that I'm doing, and things that I've been thinking about. Today is St. Patty's Day. It's March 17th, 2023. It's a very rainy, cold, and gloomy day outside, which really didn't help me very much because I had a very rough night of sleep last night. I had a hard time falling asleep because I had so many things going on in my mind, some things that are kind of happening, I guess professionally, if you want to call it that I'm hoping will be resolved this week, and I'm going to talk about all this once it is. But until then, it's weighing on me heavily, and as such, according to my sleep tracker, which I do have my Apple Watch on today, and I wear this at nighttime to track it. It says I slept for 5 hours and 39 minutes last night. It felt like a lot less because I remember I kept looking at the clock and I can see like various awake times. If I hold this up for the people that are watching this, you can kind of see it. I was in bed 8 hours and 32 minutes, but I only slept for 5 hours and 39 minutes. That I kept waking up and looking at the clock, and just it's one of those things where I just couldn't shut off at all. It probably didn't help that I watched TikTok like leading up to that, and I was watching YouTube videos, and I kind of did my thing where I'm listening to a podcast as well. I think maybe sometimes you just need to cut all of that out and introduce yourself to some boredom, which to me is like one of the most fearsome things in this world. That way you can kind of just go out. Usually the podcasts do it for me. Not so much in this case. In fact, usually when I'll go back, and I think I might have talked about this before, I have to like look at my podcast and it says I listened to 40 minutes of it. Then I go back to like 3 minutes in and I don't even remember that. So usually it knocks me right out. But last night was a rough one. And as such today, I think not only because I'm tired, but because of the weather, I get kind of bummed out when it's gloomy and stuff. I just had no motivation today. Like I got up and Cody's like, "Hey, we're going to the gym today." And I'm like, "Ah." And that's where it really helps to have a workout partner, because if it was just me, and I can assure you of this, I would have not gone today. It would have been too easy not to. We all seek comfort, right? Just like I avoid boredom, we also avoid pain. We seek the things that make us comfortable, and it's very uncomfortable leaving your house and going to the gym. It's very comfortable to just come down into your studio and build a Lego set, which is why I love it so much. But we went, and I got a good workout in. Unfortunately, though, I didn't hit my goal for this week. My goal was to lose 1 pound exactly this week, which would have put me under 170 pounds. I didn't quite get that far. I lost 0.8 pounds, which puts me exactly at 170. So I'm hoping this is the last time that I speak to you weighing 170 pounds. My ultimate goal is 159.9. I want to get like out of that. So I'm like 10 pounds away. But this week, I only have myself to blame for the sabotage that I put myself through in my weight loss journey. And that's because we went to McDonald's this week. There was a day that Cody took her mom out for like a girls' day. They did some shopping. They got facials, the whole works. You know what I mean? Clark and I were on our own for dinner. So I left it up to him. And I kind of knew what he was going to choose. And of course, I had really no objections to it. But he ultimately chose McDonald's that he wanted to eat at. And thanks to my good buddy Ronnie, who had recently gone there as well. He downloaded the app and he told us all these great deals and savings you could have from that. I did the same thing and I was able to save $4 off my order. In fact, this was a very different McDonald's ordering experience than I've had before, because I did the thing where you at home, I picked all the stuff that we wanted and then placed my order, and they're like, "Okay, when you get here, pull into one of the spots with a number, put that number in and we'll bring your food out." And that's exactly what happened. It didn't happen in a fast food manner. Like it was a long time that we sat there, but they came out with our food. I saved $4 on the order. In fact, it was really interesting because I was messing around with the app a little bit with different order options. And I found out that when you order a 10-piece chicken nugget meal, so you get a 10-piece chicken nugget, a medium fry, and a medium drink, that was actually 10 cents less than just ordering the 10-piece chicken nugget and a medium fry by itself. So they're essentially like paying you to take the drink. So we did. And that was interesting because that wouldn't be something I would necessarily do while I was sitting at the drive-thru. I wouldn't be doing the calculations there in my mind as there's a line of cars sitting behind me. But when you have the app, you can be like, "Oh, let me do this and do this and do this." And you can figure out what the best deal is. And getting the extra drink we probably didn't need an extra drink. Clark got a Dr. Pepper. I got a Coke. I got a crispy McChicken, or like McCrispy, I think is what they're called. Clark, of course, got his chicken nuggets. That's his life there. And I have to say, that is, in my opinion, this may trigger some of the McDonald's detectors out there. The chicken nuggets are the only good thing at McDonald's. I think McDonald's food sucks. Like, I think almost every other fast food place has them beat. Like the chicken sandwich I got, it was kind of like they're going for a real chicken approach where it's kind of like has that like stringy, like if you had an actual chicken breast before, you know how it kind of rips, unlike the chicken nuggets where it's just like they put it all in a vat and ground it all down and made like perfectly shaped chicken nuggets out of it. This was one of those things where they were going for chicken, but it just wasn't that great. Like it was kind of soggy-ish, and their buns suck there too. Like I think Burger King does so much better, and Clark initially chose Burger King because he knows I like that better. But I'm like, no, dude, this is about you. I was kind of hoping he was going to choose Filippo's or Felipe's, the place we got pizza at before. But you give a kid a choice on restaurants, they're going to choose McDonald's. So we went there. The fries, mediocre as always. And I just was dissatisfied. And we still ended up spending like almost $20 because I also got a McDouble because I wasn't sure if I was going to like the chicken sandwich. And you can see why my weight loss goal didn't get hit now. So I got the chicken sandwich, I got a McDouble and fries and a Coke. And like the sodium content there was probably enough just to destroy me. That was on Wednesday. So probably Thursday, I actually went down a little bit on Thursday, which was surprising, but I think I would have done more because I was working hard outside of that because I knew it was going to happen and I was preparing for it. But had I not done that, and this is why you always got to be focusing on your goals and why it helps for me to weigh in every day. I know we've had that discussion before where it's like, some people like to weigh in once a week, once a month, because those day-to-day situations where you don't see much progress is discouraging in some cases. But for me, it's like that holds me accountable. So I missed my goal by 0.2 pounds. I'm hoping to make up for that this week. In fact, I bet tomorrow when I get on, I'll probably be under 170 forever. I don't ever plan to go above that again in my lifetime, as long as I stay focused, as long as we continue with the plan here. But that was the sabotage of the week for me. And all it takes is one time, just like that. And I let it happen. Do I have any regrets? I sort of do. Because like if I was going to blow those calories like that, I think I'd rather do it on something else. I think I would have rather done the pizza. Pizza is my weakness, like some straight up. And I know we're probably all getting hungry right now. I don't know when you're listening to this. I hope it's not like right before your lunch break at work, because you're like probably like dripping on your desk right now. I love a good like OIP, like Italian pizza. I'm not talking like Pizza Hut or Domino's. I'm talking like a real Italian pizza. Like, that's my jam. And I wish we were having that tonight. We're actually eating healthy tonight too. And that's not because of me either. I told you my workout partner, she holds me accountable, just like this podcast hold me accountable. And she's like, you already had McDonald's this week. You already ate out once. I'm like, I did. So got to pay the piper now. Friday night is not going to be eat out night. We wasted it on McDonald's, at least in my eyes. Clark Man loved it. He ate, I think, 7 of his 10 chicken nuggets, so he's got 3 left in the fridge. And you know those things are going to be disgusting. McDonald's food does not hold up at all. This episode is not brought to you by McDonald's. Just very disappointed. I almost, at this point in my life, like McDonald's obviously held a special place in my heart as a kid. At this point in my life, I'd almost rather eat anywhere else in terms of fast food, including Burger King, Wendy's, Arby's banging French fries with those curly fries, and the roast beef sandwiches with the Arby's sauce is, oh my gosh, that's where we should have went. I should have sold him on that. I could have sold Clark on anything. I mean, I literally could have said, hey, you want to go to Burger King tonight? And he would have been down with that. But as a dad or as a parent, I'm sure other parents out there can relate. Sometimes you make little sacrifices in your life to accommodate your kid, and it's totally worth it. So there we go. And hey, maybe this is good though, because it kind of convinces me not to go back to McDonald's again, even though I have that app now and you can look at the deals on there and it's like, oh, I can get 20% off my order of $2 or more. There was this one, I was like super tempted to go back and do like a second order as we were waiting there. You can only use one deal per order, but it was like spend $3 and get a free like frappe of any size. And I was like, dude, I could just order another French fry, which that would have been 3 French fries for us. And then I could have got a free frappe. But this is in the nighttime. I don't need the caffeine. I don't need the calories. I don't need the extra fries. The temptation's too great. Don't download the McDonald's app. Because I'm sure after I don't go there for a little bit, they're going to start like hounding me. They're like, hey, how would you like... Dude, like just like Ronald McDonald with devil horns sitting there. He's like, how would you like a free 10-piece chicken nugget? Just come in and buy a French fry and I'll give you a chicken nugget. And it's like, okay. And then you go there and you end up ordering like 75 different things. Anyways, enough about McDonald's. Let's continue on with the health talk though. I did something this week. It was actually it was the same day as McDonald's, but before it, which is good because I did a comprehensive blood screening. I am a young at heart, 38-year-old dude. And wow, it's hard to even say that. Am I really 38 years old? How did that happen? I feel like I feel like I'm not a day over 30, but I guess appearance wise, you might disagree. But you are as old as you feel. Speaking to my older peeps out there, along with me. Some of you guys are like 38. How I would kill to be 38 again. Anyways, I did this comprehensive blood screening. Actually, it's been in the works for like 4 months. I went to a doctor back in November just to get associated with a doctor. I've not really gone to the doctor in my adult life. I haven't had any ailments. I don't have any allergies. I don't have any sicknesses. We're all good. But I was like, you know what? If something does come up, it'd be kind of nice to have a doctor. And I'm sure I talked about this back in November when I went. So I got hooked up with this lady who, unfortunately, I just got a letter on, and she's leaving like the place at the end of this month. So I guess I'm still in the system, but I'm going to have a different doctor. And it really blows because I liked her quite a bit, other than the fact she was super late. But the way that she described it was great, because she was like, I'm sorry I'm a little late, but I try to give people the amount of time that they need. And I would think that you would want the same for yourself. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually a good way of putting it. So she was cool, got all hooked up there. She did like a quick physical. Everything was good. Blood pressure was good. My resting heart rate, I guess, is apparently very low. And that's a good thing. She asked if I am like a runner or something like that, or if I'm an athlete. I'm like, no, I go to Planet Fitness a few times a week. It's probably the McDonald's. It's keeping me extra young, keeping me on like this athletic level that's never been seen before. It's the McDonald's diet. No, but I discussed with her, I was like, I would love to get my levels checked, like cholesterol, all these, all the different things that you check. I don't know what they all check for, but I was like, I don't know where I stand. What if my cholesterol's through the roof or whatever? And she's like, well, you can do these, like a blood screening through the hospital, but it's going to be very expensive. I think she was saying like upwards of $1,000. And I was like, what? First of all, I don't want to get into this too deeply here, but wouldn't it be in my health insurance best interest for me to identify if I have any issues that could lead to a problem down the road? Like if I say high cholesterol, since it's the only thing that I can use as an example. I haven't gotten the results back, so I don't know what all they tested for. But what if I have high cholesterol? Wouldn't it be great to identify that right now before I have like a heart attack or something related to that, and that maybe we can get on medication for to kind of resolve before it becomes a big problem? Wouldn't it be better to prevent a problem than to treat the issue that arises from it? Maybe not in a health insurance point of view, because they want to gobble up all that money and be the middleman along the process. But like for me, I feel like that would be good. So I was like, yeah, I don't really want to pay that much. But she's like, one thing you can do is another competing hospital in our area. Like this is probably why she's not working anymore. She probably probably fell out of a window or got moved off to Siberia or something. But she's like, the competing hospital in our area, they do this thing where they come to a local church in our area like once every few months. And for $50, you can get a comprehensive blood screening. It's almost like a gift that they're giving to the community. And I was like, well, that sounds a lot better than paying $1,000 to have all of this stuff done. And she's like, agreed. Here's a list of where they're doing it at. And it turns out that it was in March. This was back in November. So it was like a long time away, but March somehow found its way here. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot in the last month or so, is how time feels so long. But like once you reach that point, like that you've been working towards, it's like, wow, we're here already. Like turning 38, for example. It's like, wow, we're here already. So I went there in the morning. I had like an appointment, went in. The girl was really super nice. Like it was literally inside a church. It was like in like a banquet room. Walked in, sat at a table. She was like loving my veins. I was like, I think I have a good one right here. You can probably see it in the shot. She was like, oh, she was like frothing. She was like, oh my gosh. Like if you were my last appointment of the day, I would love this, because sometimes you got to dig around, I guess. But she did it, felt nothing. It was cool. I didn't want to look when the needle went in. I just was like, I don't think this will turn out well for me. So I waited until it went in, and then I looked, and it was cool seeing the little vials fill up with blood like super quickly. I was like, wow, that's really neat. So she slapped my little sticker on there, and I guess a copy of those results are going to get mailed to me, and then a copy goes to my doctor, who's quitting in the next like 2 weeks. So I don't know. I'm glad I'm getting them, but we'll be able to look and see exactly where I stand. I have reason to believe everything's going to be in line, unless there's some like thing that I don't know about. But again, it's good to like get these things done. And I think maybe once a year I should probably do this just to be sure. The only other medical thing that I do, I have a dermatologist, not for like acne or anything like that, but I had a basal cell carcinoma, which is like very minor form of skin cancer that typically affects older people, like on their head, nose, ears. It's from sun exposure in most cases. I had that back when I was in my 20s. Which is very rare. Like I was one of the youngest people to get that. So in that case, like I go to a dermatologist once a year, which is kind of an awkward experience because I go in there and like the lady like looks over your entire body. You go in there and you're like in your underwear, and then they kind of look over all your moles and things, and they're measuring stuff to make sure nothing's moving, growing, whatever. But she's like super nice, and like the doctor, the dermatologist guy there is like the coolest doctor you could ever imagine. So they make it super like comfortable and friendly for doing something that's like majorly awkward. This was not awkward at all, just going in giving blood. But I did it. Lots of people there, so it's a popular thing. I think there's a lot of peeps out there just like me that maybe you don't want to spend a whole crap ton of money for a service like that, and it's a great thing that they do. So I was very thankful to do that, and it was only $50. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not. Speaking of health, this whole episode is just going to be all about health, but now we're moving on from human health to canine health. Roxy Bear, back to the vet again. This dog, dude, like the first 7-8 years of her life, no problems. We're all good. After that, it's like when you have a car and it's great for a long time, and then like at some point it starts to like nickel and dime you. Only the difference is with a car like that, you can trade it in on a new one. With a dog, you can't really trade it in. I mean, you could, I suppose, but not ideal. What I want to do though is I want to like take Roxy's brain, memories, and personality, and I want to transplant that into a puppy to have her have a new body because she needs one. In this case, she's doing this thing lately where she's kind of like hacking, like coughing/hacking. And like oftentimes like some pieces of food will fly out of her mouth, like undigested. It's almost like she's like, they're going into her windpipe a little bit. So I was like, yeah, it's not good. And it was happening more and more often, at least like once a day that she was like kind of like throwing up. So I'm like, okay, take her into the vet. So I took her in, they, checked her heart, all good. Checked her lungs, sounded good. They're like, do you want to do an x-ray just to see if there's anything that we can see? I was like, of course I do. It's my Roxy Bear. Then she's like, cha-ching. There's like dollar signs in her eyeballs. She checked her. Lungs looked good on x-rays too, but she's thinking that maybe it's an allergy type thing. Roxy's already on allergy meds for like her skin. This could be like an allergy, like somebody that's actually like sneezing or coughing when you say you have like grass outside or whatever. So they gave her like some antihistamines, I think is what it is. That should help with that. We're doing that over a 2-week period and seeing how that goes. I guess they also make dog cough medicine, but she said it has like a steroid function in it. And Roxy did not respond well to steroids last time she had them. So we're going to rule that out. She said it could just be a part of being older. As dogs get old, their lungs start getting kind of, not as good as they used to be. And they can get nodules and stuff on there and like a little bit of phlegm that they kind of have to eject, which could be what's happening. That being said, like literally the next day, it was a beautiful day outside. We went for a walk with Bear and she was just like going right along, no problems. So I'm not too worried about this. I just wanted to go in and get it checked because I care more about that dog's health than my own. And her health costs me a lot more than my own. That was about $200 that we spent that day. That being said, I did, while I was there, I was getting pretty infuriated because I feel like every time I go to my vet, I have to wait like 30 minutes to an hour every time. And the last 2 times I've called, I live 10 minutes away. I've called and I said, hey, I have an appointment at 9:30. It's 9:20. How behind are you guys? Because my dog gets a little anxious while I'm there. And like, if you're behind, I can wait. They're like, oh, all good. I go in there and I wait 45 minutes. And as I'm waiting, I'm not a patient man by any means. It's probably one of my biggest character flaws. I was starting to get more and more infuriated as I waited. Like both times that this has happened recently, I've been very tempted just to get up and leave, just been like, forget it. But I'm like, well, I'm already here. I'm invested. Like I do need to know what's going on. But while I was there, I started researching other vets in the area and I found one that's literally just down the road from them that the reviews are off the charts versus their reviews, which are like garbage. So I called and they're like, yeah, we're accepting new dogs or patients, whatever, clients, whatever you would call a pet that goes to a vet. They said they had a vet that was out for a bit and they're getting caught up, so they can have her come in on like May 1st, I think we have an appointment just to go in and kind of get like checked in, checked out, and then like that'll be our new vet. And I think it's gonna be so much better. So it's like, you know what, you cost yourself a client. You can't just disrespect people's time every single time they go there. Last time it was because a dog ingested poison. It must have happened like the same time I got there. This time I didn't even bother asking. I was like, I don't really need to hear an excuse. There was no apology on their part. It was literally just like walk in and like, they were with me for like 5 minutes. So they made up some time with me, but it's like, dude, super, like, I think just disrespectful. I think one of the most disrespectful things you can do, and I truly believe this, is to not respect someone's time. I hate people that are late. I refuse to ever be late at anything in my life. I like consistency, which is why I'm here. I wasn't super motivated to do a podcast. It's like, I got nothing interesting to say. I'm tired. I'm cranky. But I can't sit here and tell people that the key to success is consistency and showing up if I don't do that myself. So I'm here and I'm feeling great. And we've had all kinds of things to talk about. I mean, all health related, but I guess that's what we're into this week. And Roxy seems to be good. She's doing good today. Giving her we have these little pill pockets, put the pills in there. She eats them like they're treats, because they are. And we'll monitor the situation. I'll report back to you. Let's move into something other than health. We 20 minutes in, I think we can talk about something else. But I do know that sometimes I always get inside my head with, like, I'm always worried about, like, how is this for you? I'm always like worried about the customer or the client. I don't know what you are. You're not paying for this necessarily. You're my patron saint. I don't know. I'm always like, how would people feel about this? How are you liking it? I'm just going to do my thing. If you don't like it, you're probably not here anymore. If you do, I appreciate you sticking by. Speaking of that, we're going to be getting into some listener feedback at the end where we talk about you guys, and I'm excited to do that. But before that, I want to talk about other things that happened this week. In the world of Lego, I kind of have like my list here. So in the world of Lego, I'm having a great time. Man, I've kind of changed my style up a little bit. The videos are a little more solo. I'm doing them when Clarkman's at school. People haven't really complained too much. It used to be like, where's Clarkman? But I think the kids are like already over it. And now it seems like in doing like what I'm calling like my Lego journal, where each day I kind of sit down, I have a little story to tell, because I love telling stories, if you can't tell. And I share something in the world of Lego that I've worked on or I'm working on or I've acquired, something like that's like a journal for that day. And I love it. I love this style. And it seems like other people do too. I've been getting a lot of great feedback on it. I feel like the comment quality is off the charts. I'm connecting with some really great people, and I'm having the time of my life. Like, I'm like, dude, I am so thankful to be able to do this. Like, I'm a Lego YouTuber. I get to play with Lego for a living. Like, I make money playing with Lego, and it's a dream that I didn't even know that I could do, that I had. And I get to do this, and it's an absolute blessing. And man, I've lucked out in life, and I just think like, man, I could do this the rest of my life. I might get a little older, but I can still play Lego as good as the rest of them, right? So yeah, I'm having fun. I've been working on various, I've been into the world of Lego cars. I really enjoy doing that. I've been getting into getting some Bricklink orders. I'm working on some big projects. I'm doing some customizations. I've got a mock idea that by the next time I talk to you, I'm hoping is done. It's a big mock. And a mock is like, it's called My Own Creation. I know some of you guys aren't into the Lego space quite as much as I am. I'm using jargon that maybe you don't know, but it's like a thing that Clark and I came up with that we want to do, and he made one, and now I'm working on mine. So a lot of this year for me in Lego is checking things off my bucket list, things that I've wanted to do for a long time. I'm a man with many ideas, but like following through and executing them, I'm always like just on to the next thing, and I don't stay focused on that. So I'm trying to knock a lot of this stuff out, and I'm very excited to be doing all of this, and I've got some great things on the way. So stay tuned for that if you're into the Lego thing. I'm also getting organized too. I'm going to get my tables almost cleared off that's over here. I'm going to be building a Lego city there. People are going to be just losing their minds when that happens. I'm going to work on it in conjunction with Clark. I'm curious to see how that turns out. He's a dude that he's very quick to build. I'm like person that's like, I'm sitting there like, maybe I can do this. Clark's like, I'm done. It's 2 minutes later, running away. We'll see how it goes. I might have to be like the final say and editor in such matters, and we got to make this thing look good, because we only have limited space, and the city has to be top notch. Like, it's going to be like Coruscant level of like building up in density, if that means anything to you. Gaming. I have been playing games. Fortnite is what Clark's jam is right now. We play that together. And this week he ended up getting his first Fortnite win of the season. And I say his first Fortnite win because I got killed right before the end. There was one guy left. It was one guy versus Clarkman. Clarkman took him down right before school, and it was just so awesome to like experience that. And like, I was thinking as an 8-year-old how awesome that would be and how that would feel. Like, you did it. You pulled it off. So that was fun. I also got into NBA 2K23. I bought the game. Actually, I didn't even need to buy it because I had a Microsoft gift card I ended up getting it cheap during Black Friday. It was like a $25 gift card for $15. I'm like, I'll certainly use that one of these days. Well, that day had finally come. NBA 2K23 was on sale for like $23, and after tax, it was just under my 25 that I had. So I got that, and I'm mainly getting that because, 23 and Michael Jordan's number is 23, at least for most of his career. They have this Michael Jordan challenge where you play through some of the most intense games of his career, like all the moments that made him the superstar that he is. And I wanted to go through and play all of those, and they're very challenging. So I'm kind of working through those, and I've been streaming things, but I've moved over to Twitch, at least temporarily, to see how it goes. I feel like I want to stream a lot more than what my YouTube audience probably is interested in, at least in gaming. And I don't want to like spam them, but Twitch is like the place to go for gaming streams. So I was like, here's what I can do. And Twitch makes this very easy. You stream on Twitch as long or as little as you want. And then when that's done, that becomes a video on Twitch, like a VOD, video on demand, as it's called. And then what you can do is there's a button that says export video, and you can just have that go right over to YouTube. They automatically upload it to YouTube for you. And then you can put a thumbnail on it, change the title, do whatever you want, and then make that a video for YouTube audience if like something great happens. So it's like, say you stream 5 different days of Fortnite, for example. This is just a hypothetical. You stream 5 different days, 4 or 5 of those days, nothing happens, just boring. You're getting shot, you're getting killed. But that one day Clarkman gets that crazy win, export that to YouTube, make that a YouTube video, and it's super easy to do. And that's those type of videos I think do better on YouTube when it's just a regular video and not a live stream. In fact, now they even like appear in a different space on like your YouTube page too. And I know this is kind of getting into the creator side of things, but I think I'm going to roll with this for a little bit. I've already got 2 subscribers on Twitch, which is pretty cool. It's subscribers on YouTube. It's like, think of it like this. A follower on Twitch is like a subscriber on YouTube. It's like a free thing. You can follow someone, and when they go live or whatever, you know about it, or when they make a video, you know about it. A subscriber is like becoming a patron or becoming a member, where I think you pay, I think it's like $5 a month, and then half of that goes to Twitch, I think. So it's kind of steep. But the other half goes to the creator, and then that person doesn't have ads, and it's like a way of supporting your streams. So it's kind of a cool thing. Plus, if you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription per month. So you can use that on anybody. And it's like, hey, you can subscribe for free. And it's like money's generated out of thin air from Amazon, which is really cool because Amazon owns Twitch. So I'm experimenting with that. I think it's either I do that where I stream live, or I just record the content. But for me, like, I feel like almost more motivated knowing someone is engaging with the content that I'm making. Like if I was just sitting here making this for myself, I don't think I'd be nearly as motivated as knowing it's like going out to somebody. And I like having people there with me when I'm playing, because sometimes you can get like some really great tips, like a lot of helpful stuff happen when I'm streaming, especially in games that I don't know too much about that other people oftentimes do. It's great to have those people there as a resource, and it's nice to have people with you too, and you can maintain a conversation, have some chats. I think the gaming streams is like what I like to do. Streaming elsewhere, not so much anymore. I really like putting out like produced content, but gaming is a little different, and I think it works because it's already engaging. Like you could sit there and not say anything at all, and like there's obviously something always happening, right? But then like your conversation that you put into that really makes it fun. Versus Lego, it's a little harder because there's visually it's not much to see, right? Like you're building a Lego set, but it's like the conversation that's generated, but that's all that's happening. So I think gaming, as you can see, like by the popularity of it, the gaming like lends itself to streaming a lot better than Lego. Or if I were to just sit here like this and just chat, all those, that's a popular category on Twitch as well. It's called just chatting. So we could do this live. But then if I say something dumb, I can't get rid of it. So we have to do it this way. Watch a Tech. That's gaming. Got gaming covered. You guys are like hitting the fast forward button, the advanced 15-second button. Watch a Tech. Cody and I, oh my gosh, we got into it last weekend. Clarkman went to Yammy's. He had like this, it was like his dream weekend was to go over there. I think it was Saturday morning and then stay until Sunday afternoon. He loves going to Yammy's because she like treats him like a king, obviously, just like all Yammys do. And he gets fed like crazy, like all the foods and all the snacks that he wants. He paints Hot Wheels over there. He gets into watching things on his iPad and TV and doing whatever, it's like whatever he wants to do, he's the king. So he loves going over there, as you probably did when you were a kid, going to your grandparents. And we had the house to ourselves. So you know what we do? We go wild. We throw a crazy party. No, we watched the entire season of White Lotus on HBO Max. We originally watched the first season and it was really good. Season 2 was out and we started watching it Saturday afternoon, and we watched the entire series until it completed right before midnight on Sunday. And that was the day we were falling forward to because daylight savings time was changing or whatever. But 8 episodes, all about an hour piece. We watched the entire thing and it was awesome. I can't even tell you if I've ever done that before, where I've watched an entire season of a show in one sitting, but it was easy to do. It was really good, fun watching. It's on HBO Max and it's White Lotus, both series or seasons. It's about like these guests that come to a hotel. Each one of these seasons features a different place. It's not like a documentary. It's all made up. And then you have like the hotel staff. You've got like the people there, and it always concludes or starts with someone dying. And then you spend the whole time trying to figure out like who was the person that died, how did it happen? And you get to know all of these characters. And some of my favorite things that I watch involves learning the story behind characters that you watch. I don't care about action or whatever. I want to know like stories. I want to feel connected or hatred towards like people. As bad as that sounds. But the show did not disappoint, and I was happy to spend the 8 hours or whatever we spent watching it. It was crazy, but we did that while Clark was away. We watched it while Clark was away, by the way, because it's a little graphic. There's definitely some nudity, particularly male nudity. So ladies, guys, whatever you're into, there's a lot of that. Probably a little bit too much harsh language, violence. There's the works. So you've been warned. In the rabbit hole of the week, this one was actually from a podcast. It got me thinking. They were talking about how movies at one point kind of replaced books in terms of like the ease of consuming content. Like reading a book is work in some cases. Sure, it can be entertaining, but it's work. Watching a movie in comparison to reading a book feels like fun. It's like you can just sit back and watch. Well, they were talking about how maybe movies are now becoming like the new books because now you have TikTok, and they were talking about how much easier it is to watch TikTok, for example, where you just scroll through the algorithm as it feeds you videos, than it is to sit down and commit to a movie that you have to sit there and pay attention to for 2 hours, or a series like White Lotus, for example, that you're going to sit there for 8 hours and watch the whole way through. Are movies becoming the new books? Is it going to be hard to capture people's attention through movies now that TikTok exists? Will anyone ever sit through something that's 2 hours long? How engaging does it have to be? Furthermore, I started thinking, they didn't talk about this in the podcast, but I started thinking, will there ever be a movie that's delivered on a platform like TikTok where you watch a movie in like 2-minute segments? You're just like, oh, there's part 1 of the movie. There's part 2 of the movie. There's part 3. And you just kind of go through and watch all the parts, as many as you can stand before you get bored and need to watch something else. I wonder, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this too. Do you think movies will become the new books? Obviously, we know movie theaters are struggling, but I don't think it's because of lack of attention. I think it's because of prices and how easy it is to stream things and how efficient and inexpensive it is to stream, and how everyone these days kind of has a movie theater in their house. Like, it's not uncommon for people to have a 55-inch TV or 65 or 75-inch TV because you can get one for like $198 on Black Friday now. It's not like the old days. We're talking really old days, back in my day, where you went to the movie theater because it was the only place you could watch moving pictures. It was the only place in town that had air conditioning. It was like an escape, Now it's kind of like you can do that all at home. Plus you can eat your own snacks. You can pause it. You don't have to watch the previews. You can go to the bathroom when you want. You can watch TikTok halfway through because you got bored. All of those things can happen. But will movies become the new books? Will we just keep moving towards this progression where attention spans get shorter and shorter, and the dedication to something and the effort put into something gets less and less? Same thing could be said about AI. Like in the past, I feel like we've had tools that have made work easier, but there was still work involved. Like when you got a hammer, instead of bashing something with your hand or whatever, that made your work easier, but you're still having to hit something. When you got a typewriter, and you were still typing out words as opposed to writing them, made things faster. When you got a computer, it made that even faster. Software makes things faster, right? Looking things up on your iPhone is a lot easier than going to the library and pulling out the card catalog and then pulling a book off the shelf and looking it up. All those things still require work. With something like ChatGPT, there's no work involved at all. Like, well, I guess you have to type a prompt in or whatever, but like it just gives it all to you. Like no work involved. What's the human's purpose in the future? Will there be any purpose for us? Will we just become like blobs that just want to consume content and information without doing anything? What is our purpose? It's got me thinking. That was my my rabbit hole of the week. I'm curious to see your thoughts on that. Speaking of thoughts on things, I started the Ask Greg It series this week. I mentioned before I was doing something to replace 3 questions. And this is like where I go on to Ask Reddit, which is a popular subreddit on Reddit. And I would read through a bunch of the questions and answer them honestly, like off the cuff, in a unscripted fashion. And I did the first episode of this week. The response was favorable, I would say. Views aren't quite what this is, because this is, I think, what people probably come here for. And I would say it did pretty well. It was a pilot episode, so I'm just trying to gauge it, like how I felt about it, how you felt about it. And like, regardless of how you feel, some of you probably enjoyed it. I don't know if it's necessarily something that I want to continue with. I kind of, like, after I finished it and I thought about it for the next day or so, I was thinking about how it's kind of just like throwaway content for the most part. Like these journals that I'm doing, like this audio journal or this podcast, this series, Missing Pieces, Greg's World Podcast, whatever we're calling it. This to me is like a part of an ongoing storyline. This is near and dear to me. This is something that I feel very passionate about. It's something that, while it may not seem like I put any effort into, I think about this quite a bit. And when I sit down to do this, I put my heart and soul into this. Answering Reddit questions does not feel like the same thing. And maybe it was why 3 questions to me got a little old. Sure, it kind of opens up conversation, but like, I don't know if you necessarily care too much about like what my favorite soup is versus like what's something that like really got me thinking this week, or like what's going on in my life. Like that's something that I would connect with, and that's what I really like would come here for, I think, if I was a listener of this. Not necessarily those questions. And to me, it's like, do I want to commit to doing something like that once a week, where I just sit down and answer all these random questions, some of which are kind of polarizing? Like, do I want to commit to that? And I don't know if I do. Like, it's not that much time. I was thinking maybe doing like 30 minutes every week, and I could, but I don't know if I want to. And I don't want to start something and then do it for like 4 weeks and be like, yeah, this isn't what I want to do. So I'm really up in the air on it. There isn't really much you could say one way or another. Like you could say, Greg, I think it's the greatest thing you've ever done in your life. Or you could be like, yeah, ditch it. It's ultimately going to come down to like my personal thoughts and feelings on it, and what I want to do. And I think I just rather focus my attention on this rather than just sit and answer random questions. I don't know. I think if anything, maybe like I would rather, I think would be much cooler than that. And I'm kind of figuring out a way that we can make this happen, is to do like a once a month, like hour-long live stream with fans and just like have a combo. I think that would be like way cooler than sitting down once a week and answering random questions like that, even if it does like get you thinking or whatever. So that's where I'm at on it. But it took me kind of doing like a little trial run to see that, because in my mind I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then after doing it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like I didn't even save the video file. I save all my videos. I save all these podcasts, because this is like me writing out my diary. But that is like, why would I save this? And if you think like that, like why would I save myself answering all these random questions? Like, is that really content that you want to put out? So that's where I'm at on that. That's my Ask Greg It about Ask Greg It. And forgot to mention news. Last topic of the week before we get into listener feedback. I forgot to mention Clark is doing Cub Scouts. I was editing a video and I was like, dang it. Like I showed him in Cub Scouts. He's gone 3 times now. I forgot to mention that Clark is doing Cub Scouts. And what's really cool about this, it's not a huge operation by any means, but there's 2 kids that are in his pack. They're the wolf pack. Oh, and one of them is his BFF from elementary school, who he used to play with outside at recess every day. And the other one's a kid that's in his class. So it's like they're all the same age. They're all BFF buddies. They go in there. They have a great time. Like this past week, they were doing this balance beam thing, and then like just kind of doing their coordination. It's kind of like what I've seen so far. It's like a physical thing to kind of, that's what they want to do the most, is like play around. There was another thing where they stand all together with the ball, hand it back and forth, and every time everyone gets it, they move back a step, and then they move back a step. They didn't get very far because they were pretty terrible at throwing the ball at each other. It was just like this little ball, but it was fun to see. And then like they were looking at where their houses are on maps. They always had like a snack time, so obviously the kids are all about that. So Clarkman is loving this. We've had him in like sports and things before, but I feel like this is really valuable because one, he's making connections with kids. Whereas in sports, it wasn't quite as much that. It was like we would go there, we'd play a game, sometimes practice, and then we would leave. This, he's like palling around and he's learning and having snacks, which is a win for him. But I feel like there's a lot to be gained from this. Some of you may be in Boy Scouts or have been in Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, and you know how nice this can be for a kid and what they can take away from it. So I'm curious to see where this goes. He's done 3 times so far, and we're continuing in. I paid like the registration fee and stuff. I look at it as like a donation. And I think the next week they're going to the fire company and they're going to check out the fire trucks and stuff. So it's like going on a field trip. And the fact you get to do that with your 2 best buds, awesome. So I look at it like a play date too. So I wanted to mention that. Some of you probably saw it in the video, but Clark is in Cub Scouts, and I'll let you know how that all works out and how much he likes it. So far, he's really into it. Next and last thing. Last week I talked about how did you find Greg's World? How did that happen with you? And a lot of people responded to it, and I was debating whether to read these or not because a lot of them are just like singing praises on the channel and stuff, and I don't love that too much. It feels too self-serving, but I also think it's interesting to see how people found us. And I thought, if we have time here, which we do, we could read down through a bunch of these. So I'll say if that's not something that you're super interested in, maybe you just came here for like what's up with me this week in the story, you could probably bail out now, and I'm not even going to be upset about it. I would love it if you stayed, but if that's all you came here for, that's totally fine. But I'm going to read down through some of these because it's kind of fascinating to me, just how this all came to be and where people how did the YouTube gods bring us together? Let's read through these. We've got a bunch of comments here, so let's crank through these for a bit. First one comes from Ashley. She says, female listener here. 2. So we had a lot of female commenters last week, which I thought was interesting because I didn't think that was my demographic, but it seems to be. She says, my nephew, who I'm raising, is 5, and he just started to watch some things on YouTube last summer. One of the recommended videos that came up was a beach one when Clark was probably around 4. Mason absolutely loved it because we were just getting ready to go to the beach, and Clark was his age at the time of the video. We started watching Greg's World together and hopped over. So there you go. There's how one person found us. It was through their kid who they're taking care of. Appreciate that. Taking him in, and the recommendation gods have found a beach video. I'd love to make more beach videos. Anytime you guys need a beach video, just let me know. We'll pull it off. Next comes from Zero the Hero. It says, Greg, the story of finding your channels is like finding a fine bottle of wine or a diamond in the rough. No. Found with the whole Lego thing and looking for other adults enjoying Lego or doing reviews. Then led to your other channels. I have a lot of respect for you as a dad and husband. You remind me of myself in the same journey. Plus, we're close in age and grew up with the same things. I feel like that connection with a lot of people too. I feel like we're like running like parallel lives in many cases with people that seem to comment on this podcast. I'm like we're brothers from another mother, and it's kind of cool to see. He says, I was wanting to start a YouTube channel at some point, and you gave me motivation to follow through with it. Huge plus is I work 12+ hour days and can listen while I work, and you post regularly. Anywho, have an amazing week, and thank you for sharing. Last thing, what I do about the stock market and the way the government has failed use, I only have a small amount of retirement each pay period. I have a simple IRA through a well-known company. Okay, we were talking about investing. Oh man, if you're investing right now, things are getting a little scary with bank failures, and the stock market's getting a little scary. Right now, I almost feel like putting your money in like under your mattress might be the best thing, but maybe now's the time to buy. I don't know. This is not an investment podcast though, but I'm glad that you're saving. That's always a good thing to save. And if you're playing the long game, you're my age, we got lots of time to ride any kind of like little blips out. Now, if you're pulling your stuff out next year, it might be a little more scary. So sorry to the older folks, but we might be there too in 20, 30 years. Who knows? Tracy says, female listener here. Again, found you through a yard sale video on Brickatech back in 2018. Moved over to Greg's World probably a year later. I think for me, it's the way you share your journeys that keeps me coming back to watch more. I've been entertained, informed, inspired, and related to the way you view life. How about that? There's 4 things you can do. You can entertain, inform, inspire, and educate. I think. Is it the fourth one? I don't know. I'm glad that I'm checking off some of those boxes. Most of it is just me sharing what I'm up to, but maybe you can take something away from that. And I appreciate you sticking around for 5 years. Oh my gosh. Next one is my brother from another mother, Builder Buds, inspiration behind the McDonald's this week. He also does a podcast too. I try to sell that as many times as I can because he's a great dude. He says, Brickitect was the first channel of yours that I found. I was deep into Lego at the time before you got into Pokemon, and I quickly fell in love with your channel because you were doing something different from all the other Lego-focused channels out there. So thankful that we were able to cross paths, buddy. I feel the same way, man. He inspires me all the time. I love that guy. Next one comes from Sotos. Says, hello, Greg. The way I found your channel was through Bricks and Bits podcast. Used to do that with Ryan and Justin. Says, I really liked the way you talked, and I searched for your channels. And believe me, it was the best thing I did. Very kind. He says, what I like most in your channels is that it didn't only concern Lego, but your whole life in general. And that's what liked a humble, simple man opening his door and his heart and sharing all the truth with us. And I felt so honored. Wow. Did they cut some of that off? It feels like there was more after that. YouTube let me down. Wow, I might use that as my tagline. Opening doors and his heart to share. I love that. Ooh, I'm gonna move that around a little bit. Opening my door and heart to sharing all of that with us. How do I do that? I'm gonna write. Okay, ideas. We're gonna move on. I gave you a chance to leave. Okay, I gave you a chance. Thank you for the kind words. Next one is from Codex. Said, I found your channel about 6 years ago. We got a lifer with us here, and I've been watching religiously. All the channels, even Clark's now. I started with our son finding Brickitect, and we immediately subscribed to Greg's World and have been watching all the content across the channels ever since. How about that? We got an adult that's been watching religiously for 6 years. Think of all the things that you would have seen. Like, I oftentimes talk in a way like, you've been with me the whole entire time. And I know some people like the inside jokes and stuff don't hit, but if you've been here 6 years, you've seen it all. And that's pretty cool, man. Thanks for sticking around. Next one, I don't know what this person's thing is. It just says user XY. It says, hello, I found your channel years ago from a random video in your basement flooded. Oh, I'm having flashbacks. No, had to get all your Lego sets and boxes upstairs. It's been a while. From there, I found Greg's World, and the rest is history. Loved your Hawaii and UK videos, and my daughter and I got ideas of what we wanted to do from your experience. Keep the long podcasts coming too. It gives me 2 days of listening while I drive. I'm assuming to work. All these are getting cut off for me. Maybe it's because I need to do this. Oh, yeah, it's work. It's work. What was the other one that gets cut off? Some of these, I think because I have my screen half size. The other one said, I wish you and your lovely family the best and many successful things whenever you do. Oh my gosh. You see why I got motivated to do this? Very nice. And again, this kind of feels like I'm just like, tell me how great I am. But no, you don't have to say anything nice. I was just curious, how did YouTube make this happen for us? Because YouTube's such a big place, and you don't have no idea what exists out there before you get recommended something or you search for something. And you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. What else do they do? Oh, they have a vlog channel. I thought it was just Lego. This guy doing Lego stuff. Oh, this is kind of neat. That's pretty neat. Pretty neat. Aiden says, I found Brickitect summer of 2019 when I got back into Lego. I got hooked on Bricks and Bits podcast and was an early Missing Pieces listener. He's been through a lot too. I started watching Greg's World this past summer with the yard sale vlogs. Thank you for your authenticity, and I can't wait to see what's coming in the future. Well, I got a lot. I got a lot planned, my friend. Thank you for finding us and sticking with us 4 years. This one's from Tommy. It says, I started to watch Greg's World in 2019. And I started watching M&R Productions all the time when the new Force Friday wave of Lego sets episode 9 came out. Those were the days. Then I would watch Bricks and Bits podcast, and I saw your channel Brickitect was mentioned there, so I checked out your channel and I've been listening to this podcast since before episode 50 of Missing Pieces. I don't even know what episode number we're on. I was thinking about going back and seeing where I left off with the numbers. It was sometime after 100. We're probably on 120, 130 at this point. It might be kind of fun to do that. I should start numbering these again. It's awesome, though, that you found me through Ryan's podcast, and then it brought you here. So I'm glad that you found me and that you stuck around. I guess that's my biggest takeaway from this. Is wow, these people all stuck around for all these years. Jasper says, my story of finding your channels is that I was searching for a fun Lego channel with no serious reviews, but just the fun part of Lego, then going on to Greg's World and loving it ever since. Well, I'm glad that if you search for fun Lego, we came up, because that's one of my things that I'm trying to teach people. Enjoy your Lego collection, have fun with your Lego. Don't worry about buying Lego, always being on the cutting edge, buying the new things. Let's just enjoy it. So good deal. Next one comes from John. He says, I found you through Brickitect when I got back into Lego around 2019. After watching your videos for a while, I started watching Mrs. Pieces and then Greg's World. So a lot of people found us through the Lego thing and then wanted that extra, I guess, behind the scenes, Greg's extra stuff. Aussie guy, this is an unrelated one, but he was the one that had the daughter that was getting into Lego last week. Or, he commented on it last week and was looking for advice to get her to like build her own stuff instead of always like trying to go from set to set to set. He says, thanks for the advice. My advice was just to get some pieces out for her and, put them on the table and see if you can pull something off. He says, my wife listened to your comments and made the comment that I always pack up the Lego sets in the little Ziploc bags to organize rather than just in a box for my daughter to play with. Yeah, I'll work on that. We came to you via watching for Disneyland videos. I was showing what a day in Disneyland was like, and then it must have crossed over my platform, my algorithm of Lego building. Yeah, it's like YouTube was like, we found a guy that does these two things. Came across the day maybe 6 months ago that you went with the family to Legoland and no one was there. Oh, that was a beautiful day, man. Going to Legoland is like a ghost town versus the first time I went there where it was terrible. I've been a daily follower since. My last week has been exploring GT7 on VR2. Ooh, I'm tempted. I just don't want to spend $500 and some on that. He spent so much on that system that I can't afford the steering wheel yet. I've been watching Full Swing and can't wait for Golfing Simulator to come out on VR2. Very similar lives. Love it. See, we're following the same path. He's also the guy that does finance too. So we're kindred spirits here. VR2 he's talking about PlayStation VR2, and he's playing Gran Turismo 7, my favorite PlayStation game, in VR, which is something I was getting into as well, only with Assetto Corsa and my Oculus Quest, which I have right here. I'm tempted on VR2. I like Astro's Playland. That was really fun playing that. I'd love to try that in VR, but man, you got to get a wheel. I know it's you already dropped a lot of money, but playing with a wheel and shifter and pedal combo, I would probably do that before I did VR personally, but it just makes it so real. If you have those two things combined, amazing. But you have to decide if you're really into it, because it's gonna set you back quite a bit. Here you go, Donut Dragon, who commented last week. He said, "Answer your question what brought me here. Some of your Lego videos, specifically the ones with garage sale hauls. Not quite sure how I ended up watching your podcast, but I found it enjoyable. Well, thank you. Let's see here. This one's from Padawan Alex. He says, hello, Greg. I'd like to touch on your junk builds topic. This is a little unrelated, but I'm into that world of making my own Lego stuff using the pieces I have. That's called a junk build. I'm also a fan of the idea, and it's a great way to save some money. Me personally, I love that concept too. Me personally, I don't do too many junk builds, but something I find just as fun is taking a set from Lego and modding it and adding my own features that make it more accurate. I did just that this week. I hope you saw my video. I took a blue race car and customized it to make it something I really love. I agree. That was so much fun. That's why I'm really enjoying this Lego thing. It says, also, I'm definitely not the recommended demographic for this podcast, as I'm 14 years old, but seriously, it's my absolute favorite thing to listen to or watch weekly. This podcast really helps keep me motivated to work on my goals and get the job done. Dude, that's the compliment of the day right there, dude. Something else funny happened in my personal life that I thought I would share. My dad recently injured his leg, and I had to take over most of the outdoor chores he did. And something funny about it is I've learned more from my dad in these last 2 weeks than I've learned so far in school all year. It reminded me of a couple months ago when you talked about the topic of bad things turning into good things. Anyways, sorry about all the randomness in the comment, but you made it to the, but I made it. If you made it to the end, I'm proud of you. I made it to the end. I struggled with the reading. That's on me, not you. You did a great job writing. I think it's awesome that you're listening to this. Maybe you took something away from that episode that you watched months ago and you still remembered. Incredible. And proud of you for taking over the chores there. Hopefully not complaining too hard about it. I can't imagine you would be. But it's an honor to have a 14-year-old that's willing to sit down and listen to me blabber on for an hour each week just talking about random things. I'm not sure if you're in my demographic or not. I don't know who that is. I want to say my demographic is probably people like me, but as we're finding out, it's younger kids that find it, or parents that find it. It's the moms. They come over, the dads. Who knows? But somehow or another, people are finding our content, and there's something there, which is the greatest honor. Is someone watches one of our videos and they're like, oh, let me see what else is here. And then not only that, but 5 years later, they're still watching. What an honor. What an honor. Okay, we got some more of these to read. If you guys got the time, I got the time. Let's do it, baby. Oh, here's a question. What's the plan for Ocean City this year? Another September trip? We're going in the middle of August this year. Love the videos. Keep up the awesome work, from Josh. I'm debating it. I love going to Marty's. I love going to Thrasher's. I love Ocean City in some regard, but it's so expensive. I think if I go, I'm not going to stay at the Hilton. I just think they're asking way more money than that's worth. Cody and I have actually been doing research, and because of how expensive domestically going to a place like Ocean City, Maryland, and staying like at a condo in Outer Banks is, she did research and found out that we could go to the Bahamas or like the Dominican Republic for less money than staying there. And that includes flight and all-inclusive meals. So it's like, do you go to Ocean City, Maryland, or do you go to Punta Cana? I think we might be making the switch over and doing that. So we'll see. If I go to Ocean City this year, I might just really look for a beautiful stretch of a few days, probably in August, because that's the greatest time to go, in my opinion. The water's warmer than it is any time of the year, maybe into September even. But Cody will be back in school, so we can't do December. So I'm thinking August, we find a nice stretch of like 3 days. I find a hotel down there that's not too much money. It could even be off the beach. It's not a huge deal. And then we just go down there, live it up for a couple of days, go to the boardwalk, go to Marty's, have some fun, and then that be it. Eat at like our favorite restaurant. So that's kind of my plan for that. I know that's kind of unrelated to most of you guys, but we do love our Ocean City trips, and maybe that's how you found us. Who knows? Kimberly says, "Hey Greg, aspiring Lego builder here. We have a few Minecraft sets and a couple creator bits, but I don't think my collection is broad enough to create like your recent BrickTech videos, which inspired me. Do you have any recommendations for sets to look out for, secondhand maybe, to build a good, well-rounded collection?" Yes, indeed. My recommendation is for you to get Lego classic sets. They're mostly like common pieces like bricks and plates and things. But if you get one of those like 1,500 piece collections for like $60, that's going to flesh out your collection like crazy. And then you can build a lot of cool stuff without spending a lot of money. But Creator and Classic is where it's at if you're trying to build a collection up of universal parts that you can use for a lot of things. That would be my recommendation. She also says, "I love your organization videos. Keep those coming too." I could literally spend an entire lifetime on those, my friend. Says, "How we discovered Greg's World. We found you through our now 4-year-old son. He really took to Clark and noticed he'd replicate some of his mannerisms. We kept watching because, testament to you and Cody, Clark was a sweet and mild-mannered kid. And what better for our boy to see another child so well-behaved and having fun." I'm going to cry. I always say I like watching people actually play with their kids and genuinely have a good time, which is why we continue to this day watching your videos religiously. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's playing with Clark, man. Thank you. He says, "Keep up your fitness journey, but I'd recommend that if you don't see the numbers on the scale moving, start measuring. That's where I noticed the biggest changes." I didn't even think about doing that. I wish I would have. He says, "Last month I lost 1 inch off every measurement, but not as much weight as I wanted. Keep inspiring us all." You know, I mentioned last week about my pants basically falling off my body and how that to me was like more rewarding than seeing 17 pounds off the scale thus far. Maybe I should have been doing measurements like that. I could have measured my arms too. We could have seen if I'm putting on any muscle on the biceps and stuff like that. That could have been good. Dang it. I guess I could start. That's the thing. If you can always start today, right? I appreciate the kind words. I love that you're getting into Lego. You're building your collection. See, we're on a path too. I like your path. Let's do this together. Next one's from Janelle. Janelle is probably one of my biggest supporters of all time. She attends every live stream that I do. Her and her grandson, they're super fans, and I appreciate them so much. She said, "I found your channel when my grandson was watching an Izzy's train video that YouTube recommended your channel. I watched a few of your videos before I let my grandson watch them. We've been watching for the last 3 years." I guess we passed your test, right? That's another channel, Izzy's. I feel like that is, of all the things that Clarkman has watched in his history, that is the most wholesome, good channel that I could find for him that's not trying to sell you on anything. They're not trying to be overly dramatic. They're not trying to be ridiculous. I mean, the mom's a little over the top, but I think that's just how she is in real life, and they're just enjoying themselves. And it's like, that's kind of what we're doing. Not quite at that energy level, but still having fun nonetheless. So I'm glad that YouTube did their recommendation job, because I would say that we're kind of similar. They're just way more successful than we are. Kauliga, the Plastic Indian, says, "Found BrickTech when Solid Brick Studios mentioned your channel in a video long ago. It was before you left your job, I think, but it was long before Bricks and Bits and M&R, where I got more interested in your journey and subscribed to your channels. Well, thank you. Through the Lego space. Gordon says, I found your channel was searching for lab videos. It was around 2015, I think. The first video I watched on your channel was you had a stuffed gorilla and pranked Roxy with it. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. It was at a yard sale. We got this stuffed gorilla and I put it in the backyard, and Roxy lost her mind. It's probably a terrible video to these days and these standards, but it's from like 2012 or 2013, back when it used to be 2012 and 2013. Crazy. Let's see. Well, I think we got like maybe two more. Let's Talk Fundraising says, found you because my son was watching your Thomas videos and he started watching your Ocean City videos because we go there too. In fact, we have to stay at the Ocean City Maryland Hilton a few times because my son says it's Clark Mann's hotel. I wish it was Clark Mann's hotel. Again, the place it's great for kids because they got like that great slide and stuff there. It's probably one of the nicer hotels that's out there, but man, that place is so expensive. And I don't, like, in my opinion, you can decide on this because you've been there, I don't think it's as nice as what they charge for it. I think what happens is most of the hotels in Ocean City really aren't that great. So what happens is all the really rich people flock to the Hilton because it's nicer than most, and they've got like the pool bar and like the service and all the stuff they have out there. And then they jack the prices up because they can, like, those people can afford it. Like when we go there, I always have like the crappiest car in the parking lot. Like it's like Mercedes, BMW, like Corvettes, and then it's like me and my 2013 Subaru Crosstrek. Not anymore though. I've upgraded to a 2022. Let's go, baby. Yeah, I just, like, for the cost of it though, I think we might make a move. So maybe Clark Mann will have a new hotel and we can save you guys some money if you want to stay somewhere else, but that's to be determined at this point. Last one we have here is from Sarah, who says, I think Clark Mann's Christmas 2018 was when I started watching you. Well, how about that? Again, 5 years. A lot of you guys, though, a lot of you peeps that came over here to the podcast channel, I would assume are probably some of the most hardcore. You're not going to have like the casual viewer want to come over here and listen to this because it's like, what is this crap? What is this guy talking about? Oh my gosh. And I can relate, but man, I love this type of content. I love it when somebody is just willing to sit down and keep it real, talk it off. I don't have any script here other than my little outline. We're just talking how it is. It's nice. Like this past week, me kind of like asking where you guys came from. It's nice having that feedback and kind of being able to go off each other. I think it makes this podcast way more fulfilling on my end, like having a little conversation around it. It doesn't have to be about me. It could be about anything, but I enjoy that. I really like this podcast is one of my favorite things I do. Today, it took me a little reminding of that because I am a little sleepy. I was a little grouchy. The weather's not cooperating, but again, we stayed consistent. We showed up, and I think I had a good time here. I can't say how good the podcast was. Sometimes I'll end this up like, man, I think that was a good one. Today, I do think this is good. We really get deep into like the health stuff these days because that's the journey I'm on. I don't know how many people are into that, but it seems like from the people I've heard back from, we're kind of like encouraging each other. You guys tell me your successes. Your measurements are going down. Good thing. I tell you my stuff, where I failed at. I hype you up on, or hype you down on McDonald's. Maybe I got you out of eating McDonald's this week. That would be great. We talk about being a YouTube creator. We talk about videos, my content strategy. We talk about how you guys find us. All these things, like, it creates like this little story. And I think like ultimately what I would love for this series to be, and maybe what it is if you go back all the way through the history of Missing Pieces or Greg's World podcast, you can kind of just follow along. It's almost like the story of a life. And if I continue doing this, if we keep showing up and we keep staying consistent, my whole life's going to be documented here through audio form. And as you watch these videos, you'll be able to see me, get younger. If you're going backwards, get older. Times change, ideas change, things improve, things get worse sometimes. You have triumphs, tragedies, setbacks, massive victories. All of these things are contained here. And I've had people, like, especially recently, ask, like, why do you put this out there? Like the time that I showed my chicken on the end of its life, and it's like, well, as much as social media is all about like presenting your best self and having the greatest day ever, this is real life. This is what I'm dealing with, and I've had massive success in keeping it real, being authentic and sharing exactly what's going on. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. I love just to tell you it's only good, but like the stuff happens, and Like, I think in sharing that, it helps people realize, like, not everyone's life is perfect. I know we idolize people out there that we watch or listen to or whatever, and it's like, oh, they have it so good. I wish I could be like that. I wish my life was that good. No, everybody has things. It's just whether you're willing to share them or not, and I'm willing to share it all here. So on that, I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this journey in life, really is what it is. I hope you have a glorious week. Make it the best one of your life. If you have a goal, and I say this every week because I truly believe it, if you have a goal, figure out what it's going to take to get one step closer to that, regardless of what it is. What little thing can you do this week to get like just that little bit closer? Even if it's just a little bit, you do that every week. Even my 0.8 pounds this week, that's a little bit towards my goal. When you only have 10 pounds left, baby, we can make this happen. So we're going to make it happen. I'm going to report back to you next week as 169 or less pound Greg. And we're going to keep hitting our goals. We're going to keep working towards things that we're striving towards, and just keep having victories. Hope you guys have a glorious week, and I'll see you all in the next episode.